The part I keep thinking about isn't the number. It isn't the Maserati sitting in my driveway for 11 days. Or the look on Harriet's face. Sorry, not Harriet, I'll get to names in a second. It isn't any of that. The part I keep thinking about is my daughter Wren, 7 years old, sitting cross-legged on the garage floor while I worked, drawing on the back of a Canadian Tire receipt with a stubby pencil she found in my toolbox. I didn't know what she was drawing until later. I wish I'd looked sooner. My name is Grant Pellerin. I'm 42 years old, I live in a semi-detached in Barrie, Ontario, and I run a one-man repair shop out of a rented bay on Essa Road. Plumbing, mostly. Some HVAC. Anything that moves water or air through a building, I can fix it. I'm not a contractor with a fleet of white vans and guys in matching polos. It's just me, a second-hand transit, and a daughter I pick up from school every day at 3:15. Wren's mother left when Wren was 4. That's not the story. The story is what happened last October, during the kind of week in Barrie where the sky can't decide if it wants to rain or just threaten to, and everything smells like wet leaves and exhaust. I got the call on a Tuesday morning, just after I'd dropped Wren off at École St. Nicolas. Unknown number, 416 area code. Toronto money, usually. I almost let it go to voicemail. Is this Grant Pellerin, the plumber? It is. I was given your name by Tom Beckett. A pause. The kind of pause that isn't uncertainty, it's assessment. I have a situation at my property in Innisfil. I'm told you're the person who handles situations. Tom Beckett was a contractor I'd done 3 jobs for over the years. Good guy. Referred me sometimes when things were outside his scope or when clients were, to use his exact word, particular. What's the situation? I asked. In-floor radiant heating. The whole. Ground floor. It stopped working 4 days ago. I've had 2 companies out. The first told me the manifold needed replacing. They quoted me $19,000. The second agreed the manifold was the problem and quoted me $22,000. I was quiet for a second. What brand of manifold? Another pause, shorter this time. I don't know. That's fine. What year was the system installed? 2014. I can come look at it, I said. I charge $200 for a diagnostic. If I find the problem and you want me to fix it, the diagnostic gets applied to the bill. Fine, she said. When can you come? Thursday. I'd prefer tomorrow. I had a job Wednesday morning, a hot water tank swap in Alcona. I told her I could be in Innisfil by 2 o'clock Wednesday afternoon. Fine, she said again. She gave me an address and her name, Vivian Ashford. I didn't recognize it at the time. I recognized the house, though. I'd driven past it once on a job 2 summers back. On one of those roads that runs along Kempenfelt Bay, where the properties stretch down to the water, and the houses don't have neighbors so much as they have distant witnesses. The kind of house that doesn't look as big as it is until you're standing in front of it and you realize the thing you thought was the garage is actually a separate building. Which it was, a 6-car garage heated, with a glass wall facing the water. Vivian Ashford met me at the front door herself. No assistant, no housekeeper, just her. She was somewhere in her mid-50s, tall, dark hair pulled back, wearing a dark cashmere turtleneck and the kind of watch I've only seen in airport duty-free cases. She looked at my transit when I pulled in, then at me when I got out, with an expression that wasn't quite skepticism but wasn't its opposite either. "Mr. Pellerin," she said. "Grant," I said. "Can you show me the mechanical room?" She led me through the house without offering a tour, which I respected. The place was extraordinary, exposed concrete, floor-to-soiling windows, a kitchen that looked designed rather than built. But she walked through it like it was just a place she lived, which I suppose it was. The mechanical room was behind the kitchen. Tekmar controls, a Poner tubing, a Wiesmann boiler, all quality equipment. The manifold was a Poner as well, which told me something. I crouched down and started checking zone valves one at a time. The first company said the manifold body was cracked internally, Vivian said from behind me. The second said the same thing. Both said it would require full replacement and rebalancing, which is why the quotes were. I know why the quotes were what they were, I said. I heard her take a small breath, not surprised. Sorry, I said. I just mean I understand the math on that kind of work. Give me a few minutes. What I was looking at was an 8-zone manifold. 7 of the 8-zone indicator pins were up, which meant 7 zones were calling for heat. 1 was down. The boiler pump was firing. The circulator pump was running. The system wasn't broken. It was confused. I checked the Tekmar controller. The outdoor temperature sensor was reading minus 42 degrees Celsius in October in Barrie. I stood up. Has anyone been doing landscaping or exterior work on the house recently? Vivienne frowned. We had the stone pathway on the north side redone in September. Why? The outdoor reset sensor for your heating controls is mounted on the north exterior wall. It's reading minus 42 degrees, which is why the system went into freeze protection mode and shut down the floor heating. The sensor wire probably got nicked or kinked when they were working on the pathway. She looked at me for a long moment. That's it? That's my best guess. Let me trace the wire. It took me 40 minutes to find the break. It was under the new stone, about 3 feet from the wall, where a paver had been set directly on top of the wire without a conduit sleeve. The wire wasn't severed, just crushed enough to short the signal. I spliced it, rerouted it properly through a short run of conduit I had in the van, and reset the controller. Within 20 minutes, all 8 zone indicators were up. The floor started warming. Vivienne was standing in the kitchen doorway watching me pack my tools. She had a coffee mug in both hands and she hadn't offered me one, which was fine. I wasn't there for coffee. What's your bill? She said. $200 for the diagnostic, I said. Parts were under $12. Labor for the repair was about an hour. Call it $320 all in. She stared at me. $320, yes. 2 companies told me $19,000 and $22,000. For a repair that wasn't needed, yes. She set her mug down on the counter very slowly. I want to understand something. Those were established companies. One of them has been in business in this region for over 30 years. I know who they are, I said. And they both missed this. They both may have assumed the most expensive answer without fully ruling out simpler causes, I said. Or they saw the age of the system and saw an opportunity. I don't know which. I only know what I found. Vivienne looked at me for a long time. There was something in her face I couldn't quite read. Not gratitude exactly, not yet. Something closer to recalibration. You have a daughter, she said suddenly. I hadn't mentioned Wren. Excuse me? She nodded toward the garage floor where Wren had been sitting. I turned around. Wren had come in from the van, I'd left the side door open, and was now sitting against the wall of the mechanical room with her pencil and her receipt. She looked up at me, not worried, just waiting. Sorry, I said. Wren, say hi. Hi, Wren said. How old? Vivienne asked. 7. She was very quiet, Vivienne said. I didn't hear her come in. She's good at that, I said. And something in her expression shifted, though I couldn't name it. Then she looked back at me. I'm going to write you a check for the work, but I want to add something. That's not necessary. It's not about the repair, she said. I own 4 commercial properties in Barrie and 2 in Collingwood. I have a property management company, but I have been chronically unhappy with the mechanical contractors on rotation. If you're willing, I'd like to put your name on the list. I can tell you right now the work isn't glamorous, and I'm an extremely demanding client. I looked at her. How demanding? I expect calls returned in under 2 hours. I expect written estimates before work begins. I expect to be told the truth even when the truth is inconvenient. That's not demanding, I said. That's just how it should work. She almost smiled. Write me your business number. I wrote it on the back of my own business card, which I still had 2 of in my jacket pocket. She looked at it, then set it on the counter beside her mug. Mr. Pellerin, she said. Grant. Those 2 companies charged me for diagnostic visits. $700 each. I know. You'll be getting a call about a property on Dunlop Street sometime in the next 2 weeks. There's a boiler issue they haven't been able to sort out. I nodded, picked up my bag, signaled to Wren, who stood up immediately, folding her receipt drawing and tucking it into her coat pocket. We drove toward Barrie on the Fonte 400, and I had the radio on low, one of the French stations Wren likes, even though neither of us speaks much French. She sat in the back with her seatbelt on, looking out the window at the gray sky and the flat gray water of the bay in the distance. Dad, she said. Yeah? Is that lady rich? I think so. She seemed sad. I looked at her in the rearview mirror. What makes you say that? Wren shrugged with one shoulder, which is what she does when she knows something but can't explain it. She looked at me like she was trying to remember something. I didn't know what to say to that, so I didn't say anything. The call about Dunlop Street came 8 days later. I went, Found a failed mixing valve on a commercial boiler that 2 previous companies had called a heat exchanger problem. A difference of roughly $14,000 in repair cost. I fixed it in an afternoon. Vivienne's property manager, a quiet man named Phil who wore the same gray fleece every time I saw him, stood beside me the whole time asking good questions and taking notes. 2 weeks after that, another call. Then another. By December, I had 4 of Vivienne's properties on a service agreement. It wasn't a fortune, but it was steady work, the kind that lets you know what February looks like before February gets here. For a single father running a one-man operation, February visibility is not a small thing. Vivienne and I spoke on the phone a handful of times. She was efficient on calls, no small talk, but she wasn't cold. She asked once, in passing, whether Ren was in a good school. I told her about St. Nicholas. She said nothing, and I thought nothing of it. Then in January I got a call from St. Nicholas. Not about Ren, about a boiler issue in the gymnasium wing that the board's usual contractor had quoted at $31,000 and recommended scheduling for spring, meaning the gym would be unheated for the remainder of winter. I found out later that Vivienne had contacted the school board. Not to arrange anything. She told me afterward. The school job took me 3 days. Cracked expansion tank, waterantang, waterlogged, causing pressure spikes that the previous contractor had misread as a heat exchanger failure. Parts cost me under $400. Labor was 12 hours. I charged a fair rate. The gym was warm by Friday. Ren had gym class on Friday. She came home that afternoon and threw her backpack on the floor by the door, which she knows she's not supposed to do, and she said, "Dad, the gym was warm today." Everybody was so happy. Miss Tremblay said someone fixed the boiler and saved the school a lot of money, and I didn't say anything, but I knew it was you. I was making pasta. I kept stirring. "Did you know it was you?" she said. "I had a feeling," I said. She picked up her backpack, hung it on the hook. Then she went to her room and came back with a piece of paper, folded twice, and set it on the counter beside the stove. "I made you something," she said. "At that lady's house, the one with the big garage." I picked it up and unfolded it. It was a drawing pencil, on the back of a Canadian Tire receipt, the way all her best drawings happen. 2 figures, one tall and one small. The tall one had a toolbox. The small one had what appeared to be a cape. Above them, in her careful 7-year-old printing, it said, "Me and Daddy Brave." I stood there over the pasta and I didn't say anything for a while. "Do you like it?" she said. "Yeah," I said, "I really do." I called Vivienne that evening, not about a property, not about a job. I just wanted to thank her. Not for the work, exactly. More for being the kind of person who notices things and acts on them quietly, without making a production of it, without needing the credit. She picked up on the second ring, which surprised me. She was usually quicker to voicemail in the evenings. "Grant," she said. "I heard about the school board," I said. A pause. "Phil mentioned it? The school called me." You didn't have to do that." "I know," she said. "Why did you?" She was quiet for a moment, and in that quiet I thought about what Ren had said in the something. "I had a daughter," Vivienne said. Just that. Past tense. No explanation, and I didn't ask for one. "I'm sorry," I said. "She would have been about the same age as yours." Another pause. "Ren is a beautiful name." "She named herself," I said, "when she was 5. She decided her real name was Ren, and we've called her that ever since. Her actual name is Claire. She will correct you about this." Vivienne made a sound that might have been a laugh, maybe the start of one. "She drew a picture of me," I said, "while I was working at your place. I thought you'd want to know it exists. What did she draw?" "She called me Daddy Brave," I said. The line was quiet for long enough that I started to wonder if the call had dropped. "Send me a photo of it," she said finally. "I will." I did. She replied 3 minutes later with a single word. "Perfect." That spring, I hired an apprentice. First time I'd ever had help. A 23-year-old from Georgian College named Devon, who asked good questions and didn't pretend to know things he didn't know, which is rarer than it should be. I couldn't have taken him on without the Ashford accounts. He needed the work. I needed the help. Ren decided Devon was her apprentice too, and began supervising his coffee orders with a seriousness that he found, to his credit, genuinely funny rather than annoying. I never did get rich off any of this. That's not the point. The point is that a $12 fix, a sensor wire under a garden stone, opened something up that I'd been keeping closed for a few years. Not a door exactly, More like a window. The kind you forget is there until somebody reminds you. What I know about plumbing, I know because I paid attention. I paid attention because I couldn't afford not to, when rent was small and money was tight, and every job had to be done right because there was no one to cover the ones I got wrong. That's not pride. That's just what it cost to learn. Vivian asked me once, months later, why I thought the other contractors had missed what I'd found. We were standing in the parking lot of a property on Dunlop Street, February, both of us cold, Devon loading tools into the van. They weren't wrong exactly, I said. The manifold was old. The system would have needed attention eventually. They just stopped looking before they found the real answer, because the first answer was profitable, maybe. Or because stopping is easier than looking harder. She nodded, looked at the van. Looked at Devon, who was trying and failing to close the rear door without rattling it. He's going to bend that hinge, she said. He does it every time, I said. And you let him? He'll figure it out. She looked at me. You're very patient for someone who moves water through walls for a living. I laughed. I didn't mean to. It just came out. She looked slightly startled, and then she smiled. A real one, the kind that changes a whole face. He's going to figure out that hinge, I said again. It's going to take him 4 more months and 1 morning when it falls off completely, but he'll figure it out. And Wren, she said. What's she going to figure out? I looked over at the van where Devon was now very gently trying to ease the rear door into place, tongue between his teeth in concentration. Everything, I said, in her own time. That evening I picked her up from school same as always. She was last out the front doors, the way she always is because she takes her time at her locker. She came down the steps with her backpack on and her coat half zipped, the way I'm always telling her not to, and she climbed into the back seat and said, Dad, can we get Tim Hortons? It's almost dinner. A Timbit. Just one? One? Okay, 6. We got 6 Timbits and ate them in the parking lot because neither of us wanted to wait until we got home. Wren picked out